thing. When you're dealing with older people, they're the last to know that things have changed. We not your little niggas. Like, the way you talking, I don't get what you mean. We're not your little niggas. Like, for real. All that big homie stuff, that's for little niggas. Little niggas have big homies. We're not little niggas, so we don't even respect big homies. I know Killer doesn't, and for me, I never respected niggas in the streets. That's why I always got the problems I got. Niggas would tell me, Mace, chill. No, chill for what? Who is this nigga? That's how I feel listening to this, man. Like, I want to...
Man. Oh, man. That's crazy. He said, who is this? Come on. Come on. Gotta run it back for that legendary Mace moment, man. That's crazy.
No, chill for what? Who is this nigga? That's how I feel listening to this, man. Like,
hey, Killer. Murder.
I want to respect you, but I can't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if I got a little, like the dudes that raised me, if I was out of pocket, they would tell me I'm out of pocket. They wouldn't let me put them on a crash out mission. They would say, yo, Mace, listen. Around here, we don't send niggas to do nothing for us. We don't pay niggas to handle our problems. You got to put in your own work around here, Lord, man. That's what you were supposed to tell them. You can't go out here and talk crazy and then send me on a mission. Nah, this is where the game got messed up, when young niggas started sending old niggas out, and just because this little ignorant nigga got a few dollars, he make all of you that's supposed to be real run after his mission. This is a problem, Jay Prince, and I'm going to tell you like this. If you're 60 years old and you trying to be a street nigga, you failed. You failed. I'm telling you this. And I stand, my name is Mace. I stand by this message.
Chaos. Hey, chaos erupts. Big as fuck. Also gonna hit his ass with a chair.
Get out of the way, guys. No! Get out of the way. All right, bro. Chill out. Stop. Chill out. Take him out. Let him go. Now do it. Bro. Yo, we're trying to... You okay, Tiger? Hey, Tiger, you okay? Break him out. Hey, fuck that guy, bro. He grabbed you, bro. Tiger, what just started the story, man? What happened? Yo, tell us you started the story, man.
That's crazy.
Yo, we're trying to... Stop. All right, bro. Get out of the way. Yo. Get out of the way. All right, bro. Chill out. Stop. Chill out. Take him out. Let him go. Now do it. Bro. Yo. Get out of the way. Get out of the way, guys. Get out of the way, guys. Yo. Get out of the way. All right, bro. Chill out. Chill out. Take him out. Let him go. Now do it. Bro. Yo, we're trying to... You okay, Tiger? Hey, Tiger, you okay? Break him out. Hey, fuck that guy, bro. He grabbed you, bro. Tiger, what just started the story, man? What happened? Yo, tell us you started the story, man. It's not working, Tiger. Stop. Come on, man.
You a good guy, bro. Don't do...
Failed him.
Ain't no fucking please, nigga. Ain't no fucking... He's not worth it. You work more than that, Tiger. Please. Tiger. Think about your kids, Tiger. Think about your kids. You're a good guy, bro. You're a good guy, bro. Don't do it. Please. Please, I beg you. Tiger, don't do it. It's not worth it. You work more than that, Tiger. Please. Please.
Just play after.
Get out of the way, guys. No! Get out of the way.
And he eating like
Get out of the way, guys. No! Get out of the way. All right, bro. Get out of the way. All right, bro. Chill out. Get out of the way.
out of there. Bro, look, like down from down some stairs or something. And pull him out there.
All right, bro. Chill out. Stop. Chill out. Take him out. Let him go.
Took this guard for help. Save. How you let? Where was he when he was pulling him out of there? He was nowhere to be found.
No. All right, bro.
Nowhere.
Chill out. Stop. Chill out. Take him out.
There you come. Push him off.
Yo, we're trying to.
He walked behind.
Hey, Tiger, you okay? Hey, fuck that guy, bro. He grabbed me, bro.
Tiger, what's your side of the story, man? What happened? Yo, tell us your side of the story, man.
It's not worth it, Tiger. Come on, man.
Make him ride.
You're a good guy, bro. You're a good guy, bro. Don't do it. Please, please, I beg you. Tiger, don't do it. It's not worth it. You work more than that, Tiger. Please, please. Please, Tiger.
Ain't no fucking please, nigga. Ain't no fucking please, nigga. Stop that shit. Some real shit right now. Take your fucking cameras off and some real shit. Stop that shit.
Thank you.
Turn it off, seriously.
Hey, turn it off.
Just turn it off. Walk away, guys.
Yeah. This thing was that long?
Frightening video of a robbery in Westchester County. A group of men smashing their way through a jewelry store and taking off with about $1.7 million worth of stolen goods.
The crime happening a few months ago, but today a break-in the case. There's been a break in the case, and 2 people have been charged in the robbery. The video, more than disturbing.
Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis live at the courthouse in White Plains. Marcus?
And Sade and Bill, today the owner of that jewelry store declined comment, but that video shows just the moments of sheer terror as that smash and grab robbery was taking place. Today, 2 of the 4 suspects arrested. They appeared a short time ago in federal court here in White Plains. It's named Tarrytown Jewelers, but it sits in a strip mall in Hartsdale. Business as usual today. But this was the terrifying scene last year. 4 masked suspects breaking through the front window in a smash and grab robbery. The violence leaves a customer cowering in fear, briefly moved out of the way so that one of the intruders can get to the jewelry and display counters. The loot carried out in bags to a waiting vehicle. Court documents contain surveillance images that show the suspects in New Jersey on December 16th, the morning a Jeep was reported stolen. A couple of hours later, the suspects are seen exiting the vehicle with sledgehammers. Within seconds, they're inside the store. According to the federal complaint, the thieves made off with $1.7 million in jewelry, rings, necklaces, and earrings. The bulk of the haul, 70 Rolex watches worth over $1 million alone. An FBI task force arrested 26-year-old Kevin Williams and 24-year-old Byron Wilson, who prosecutors say posed for pictures with stacks of cash after allegedly selling some of the jewelry in Manhattan's Diamond District. The acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District stating, today's arrest should make clear that if you commit such brazen and dangerous crimes in this district, we will find you and hold you responsible. Well, both suspects from Irvington, New Jersey, they're being held without bail, charged with conspiracy to commit robbery and robbery. They're also under investigation for possible connection to similar robberies in Nassau County. We're live in White Plains. Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
I didn't even hear where they did that one from. That's why I should have been listening for.
Cowering in fear, briefly moved out. Today and Bill, today the owner of that jewelry store declared.
More than disturbing.
Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis live at the courthouse in Westchester County. A group of frightening video of a robbery in Westchester County. A group of men smashing their way through a jewelry store and taking off with about $1.7 million worth of stolen goods.
The crime happening a few months ago, but today a break-in the case. There's been a break in the case, and 2 people have been charged in the robbery. The video, more than disturbing.
Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis live at the courthouse in White Plains. Marcus?
Yeah, New York.
And Sade and Bill, today the owner of that jewelry store declined comment, but that video shows just the moments of sheer terror as that smash and grab robbery was taking place. Today, 2 of the 4 suspects arrested. They appeared a short time ago in federal court here in White Plains. It's named Tarrytown Jewelers, but it sits in a strip mall in Hartsdale. Business as usual today. But this was the terrifying scene last year. 4 masked suspects breaking through the front window in a smash and grab robbery. The violence leaves a customer cowering in fear, briefly moved out of the way so that one of the intruders can get to the jewelry and display counters. The loot carried out in bags to a waiting vehicle. Court documents contain surveillance images that show the suspects in New Jersey on December 16th, the morning a Jeep was reported stolen. A couple of hours later, the suspects are seen exiting the vehicle with sledgehammers. Within seconds,
that's 5.
moved out of the way so that one of the intruders can get to the jewelry and display counters. The loot carried out in bags to a waiting vehicle. Court documents contain surveillance images that show the suspects in New Jersey on December 16th, the morning a Jeep was reported stolen. A couple of hours later, the suspects are seen exiting the vehicle with sledge.
Damn, so these house surveillance right here. That's a building.
In surveillance images that show the suspects in New Jersey on December 16th, the morning a Jeep was reported stolen. A couple of hours later, the suspects are seen exiting the vehicle with sledgehammers. Within seconds, they're inside the store. According to the federal complaint, the thieves made off with $1.7 million in jewelry, rings, necklaces, and earrings. The bulk of the haul, 70 Rolex.
70 Rolexes. 70 Rolexes.
Inside the store. According to the federal complaint, the thieves made off with $1.7 million.
1.7. 70 Rolexes. Rolex watches that.
In jewelry, rings, necklaces, and earrings. The bulk of the haul, 70 Rolex watches worth over $1 million alone. An FBI task force arrested 26-year-old Kevin Williams and 24-year-old Byron Wilson, who prosecutors say posed for pictures with stacks of cash after allegedly selling some of the jewelry in Manhattan's Diamond District. The acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District stating, today's arrest should make clear that if you commit such brazen and dangerous
selling it in the Diamond District
crimes in this district, we will find you and hold you responsible. Well, both suspects from Irvington, New Jersey, they're being held without bail, charged with conspiracy to commit robbery and robbery. They're also under investigation for possible connection to similar robberies in Nassau County. We're live in White Plains. Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness.
Book them. We fucking got them. We got them.
News.
So that's a little video I had set up. That one got done quick. Let's see, I might go to 10. Get my buddy out the way. We had the Shannon Sharp thing go. What's this? Fort Worth. takedown. Let's go to Fort Worth takedown real quick. Just a local.
Do you want to see how much money you're eligible for? If you were in a car crash within the last 2 years, that was not your fault. You could.
Would-be robber opens fire inside of a McDonald's restaurant filled with customers. Good evening, everybody. I'm Casey Stiegel. Thanks for being here tonight. No one was hit by the bullets. The gunman got away with no cash, but a harrowing experience for employees and customers. And now Fort Worth police hope you can help find the suspect. Fox 4's Sean Rabb has this scary surveillance video in this week's Trackdown.
Rabb. Who are you? Damn, why my thing don't light up?
We are in far southwest Fort Worth, 4375 West Risinger, the McDonald's. Detective Brian Rainsford. Detective, what happened here on April 10th?
On Thursday, April 10th at about 9 o'clock, a male walked into the
Yeah, I definitely need that little break. I ain't even bring no water. Oh, go to about 10. Oh, man. In Fort Worth. At a McDonald's. Man, how many McDonald's is it? Like, in Texas. Or the Fort Worth area.
McDonald's immediately produced a handgun, pointed it right at the head of the clerk behind the counter and demanded money.
All of this is on video?
All of this was caught on video from multiple cameras. The clerk was terrified.
Ooh, you said the clerk was terrified. Look at that. Bet he was. Shit, the people that standing right there. Man, that was so alarming. I guarantee that was a wake up. Hey, foul on the play. That's an infraction right there. We ain't see that coming. You just burst in there, just pistol in hand. Hey, waving it. And he got it on his intended target. Which is the part, you know, get some of them earnings for the day. But, hey, came in on that for sure. He didn't hesitate, didn't wait. Nigga did no hesitation. Bold, brazen, you know, fast, direct. Let's check him out. And back him up.
Produced a handgun, pointed it right at the head of the
clerk
behind the counter and
straight
demanded
to
money.
it.
All of this is on video?
All
Straight
of this was
to
caught
it.
on
Look.
video from multiple cameras. The clerk was terrified. There were probably a dozen at least
Money on the
witnesses,
floor, get
customers
straight
inside
to
the
it.
store who began running and trying to get out of the line of whatever fire. The victim was in fear of his life such that he couldn't open the cash register.
Understandably.
The suspect then
So
fired
shooken
around
up.
at the victim's head from
He's
whatever
tripping.
fire.
Hey, bugging out. He fired a shot. Unnecessary.
Clerk was terrified. There were probably a dozen at least
Bring
witnesses,
him
customers
out.
inside the store who began running and trying to get out of the line of whatever fire. The victim was in fear of his life such that he couldn't open the cash register.
Understandably.
The suspect then fired around at the victim's head from about 6 feet away. For some reason, he missed the victim. We still don't know why. The bullet went into the kitchen area of the restaurant where the kitchen crew was working. The kitchen crew had just seen the robbery start, and they escaped from the store.
Do we ever see all or part of his face?
We see part of his face when he's turning to leave the store after making the victim go into the kitchen area. At that point, you can see that he's wearing a ski mask, but you can clearly see he's a black male. From his physical height, we believe he's 5'11" or 5'10" to 6'1". He is slender build. We believe he's in his late teens to early 20s. He's wearing a black running sweatsuit with white vertical stripes on the sleeves and the legs. He fires the gun. We believe he was using his left hand when he fired the gun, but he handles the gun with both hands while he's inside the store.
Do we see enough of his mannerisms, his body, enough of his face even, that if you know him, Detective?
I think so. I think that based on when he turns around and you can see the ski mask and you see his face. or his eyes and his movements, and we're asking the public's help in helping us identify this guy and get him off the street.
How can folks reach you at the Fort Worth Police Department?
They can call the robbery unit at 817-392-4469.
To the robbery unit. Damn, 2 hours ago. Just published this. I ran up on this just with nothing else to do. Like to kill time real quick. This was published 2 hours ago.
You can remain anonymous. We just would like the information.
Get at Fort Worth Police Robbery Detectives. Get at them. The number is on your screen right now. Help find the man who terrorized the clerk here, terrorized the customers at this McDonald's April 10th, 9 o'clock at night. He left with nothing but left.
April 10th. When that went down, got at him. See how accurate my news. I seen this. It was for an hour published. 5 big updates in rapper Young B's murder for hire case. But this is Law and Crime Network. I don't know how long it is. I would play it. Ago. 22 minutes. How many minutes I got though? Oh, we got like 30. Pop balloon, 8 hours. Let's see what's the safest. 3 hours.
I'm about to cash a $50,000 check for an accident I was involved in over 5 months ago. The same accident the insurance company offered me $5,000 for. Crazy, right? Friends, family, and even the insurance company told me I'd barely get anything for it, that it wasn't worth my time because all the hoops I would have to jump through for it. I am so glad I didn't listen, because now I'm basically getting $45,000 of extra money for free without having to jump through a bunch of hoops or having to desperately plead my case to firm after firm that really don't even care. Here, let me show you how I did it. I'm going to show you how I got this $50,000 check I'm about to deposit into my bank account for an accident I was involved in over 5 months ago. The same accident, the insurance company only offered me $5,000, and I'm going to show you in real time how you can do it too, in 30 seconds or less. Ready? So I use this tool called Case Connect Compensation Calculator. Say it 5 times fast. Just kidding, don't do that. It's a little known tool that's 100% free. Then I answer these 4 questions to see if my accident qualifies. And don't worry, these questions don't ask any personal or sensitive information. It's just about the accident. Then the calculator compared my accident with millions of other cases so it knows its estimated cash value. Then it takes a step further and connected me with a local specialist that helped me get the maximum compensation. And it did 60% faster than traditional attorneys. Promise. This tool is 100% free for anyone to use. You can use it right now by clicking the link in the video. I had no idea that anything like this existed. Turns out it helped settle over 12,000 cases and help people get compensated in 2021. Countless people rewarded claims insurance companies paid pennies for, or accidents people didn't even know they qualified for. I'm just so blessed I found the page, so I wanted to share it with you too. If you've been injured, give it a try. Just click on the top right corner if you're on mobile, and bottom left if you're on desktop. You'll end up on the same page. Answer 4 quick questions, see if you qualify, and get connected with a compensation specialist that can get you the maximum amount of settlement you're entitled to and do it 60% faster than traditional attorneys without settling for less, jumping through hoops, or contacting firm after firm having to desperately plead your case. It's totally possible you qualify for much more than you thought. Don't just take my word for it. Go check it out yourself and you can see other stories like mine.
You okay?
Yella Beezy's shocking arrest made headlines everywhere. He was indicted by a grand jury for capital murder on March 18th. He was arrested on March 20th, and by March 28th, he was already out on bond. I'm Elizabeth Milner with Law and Crime. Yella Beezy's bond conditions are pretty strict. He asked the judge for just one teensy little change, but the judge put a hard stop on that request. When Yella Beezy was first charged with capital murder, he was slapped with a $2 million bail. It's a lot of money to post, even when you're a famous rapper. But then Judge Gracie Lewis ruled to reduce his bond. So the bond was slashed in half. Well, more than in half. The judge reduced it to $750,000. And obviously he posted that. But the judge had very strict rules for Yella Beezy. Don't have contact with any victim, witness, or co-defendant either directly or indirectly. And he'll remain under house arrest with electronic monitoring. According to a report by WFAA, the judge said in court, quote, "The biggest consideration was the offense, the severity of this particular offense. It's pretty egregious to watch that video, but the court also took into consideration the evidence or lack of evidence the state presented. Another concern I had was the financial statement that the defendant was to put on file. He didn't seem to take that seriously at all. That causes me concern about whether or not he's taking seriously the allegations against him." So the video that she's talking about was this video that was played in court during Yella Beezy's bond hearing. In it, you can see Mo 3, who is the victim, driving on I-35 near Dallas. He suddenly stops on the highway. He gets out of the driver's side door, looks at the car in front of him, opens the passenger door, and by that time, the gunman is spraying bullets. All this while many drivers are just passing by like business as usual. Then the gunman appears sprinting back to his car. He jumps back into the driver's side and just takes off while Mo 3 was left to die. Another bystander was also hit during the shooting, but survived their injuries. Now, prosecutors don't claim that Yella Beezy fired the shots that killed Mo 3. They claim he just hired the gunman. More on that in a sec. So Yella Beezy was released on bond. Then last Tuesday, his defense attorney filed a motion to modify the conditions of his bond. And the request was simple. Yella Beezy just wants to attend his son's football games. In the motion, the Dallas rapper's attorney wrote, quote, "On March 21st, 2025, the magistrate court judge ordered as a condition of bond that Marquise Conway be restricted to home confinement at his primary residence. Defendant respectfully requests permission to temporarily leave his residence for the sole purpose of attending his minor child's football games. This request is sought to allow defendant to be present for a meaningful family event."
Been in a car accident? Here's exactly how to get every dollar you're owed. If you've been in a car accident in the last year, even as a passenger, you could be sitting on thousands, maybe even over $100,000 without even realizing it. But most people never check what their
event, which is in the best interest of the child and will support continued family engagement and stability. To date, the defendant has satisfactorily complied with all terms of his condition of bond ordered by this court. To date, there has been no violations on the electronic monitor. The defendant respectfully prays that the court amend the conditions of bond. I mean, they asked pretty nicely, right? But in the end, the judge ruled against the defense's motion. So for now, Yella Beezy will remain under home confinement pending the outcome of his trial, it looks like. But who knows when that'll be because no trial has been put on the calendar yet. But Marquise Conway, aka Yella Beezy, has kept busy. He made his return to social media on April 13th to promote his new song, In My Head. He took a gospel approach for this track with lines like, "Silence the noise in my mind. I've been dealing with a lot of hating on me. I've been waiting for a minute. They want to take it from me." In the video, his hair even appeared to be braided in the form of a cross. But as far as what's next for him, that's a wait and see. Because again, capital murder or any murder
Hughes just ain't there. But boy, going through it. Gotta be.
Charge at all, especially in Texas. He's looking at life in prison if he's convicted. And again, this despite him even pulling the trigger. He's just accused of orchestrating his rival's death. Prosecutors say it was actually this man, Keywan White, who pulled the trigger. The state alleges Yella hired Kiwan to carry out the hit on Mo3 back in 2020, and Kiwan allegedly had help from this guy, Devin Maurice Brown. Both were arrested and indicted years ago, within weeks of the shooting. Investigators say they can place both men through their phone records and surveillance data near this guy, Devin Maurice Brown.
On that way. On that 35. So they could place him right there. Both of them. On that 35 way.
Both were arrested and indicted years ago, within weeks of the shooting. Investigators say they can place both men through their phone records and surveillance data near Mo3's location in the hours before the shooting. And the feds even charged both of them. Kiwan was found with a 9mm gun after he fled from officers, and Devin was indicted on federal drug and weapon charges after investigators found a stolen AK-47, drugs, and cash in his home. Kiwan is already serving his federal sentence. Back in November of 2022, he pleaded guilty to his charges and was sentenced to 9 years in federal prison. But in a recent video of him posted to social media, he says he's coming home soon.
I've been home soon, for real, no cap. Let me see this. What's that? We back?
It's unclear if that's actually true. He has a lot of time left on his federal sentence. Plus, he still hasn't even gone on trial for Mo3's murder. As for his alleged accomplice, Devin Brown, he still remains in the Dallas County Jail and hasn't gone on trial either for Mo3's murder. Now, if you're wondering what's the motive, well, prosecutors haven't laid that out clearly just yet. But rumors have swirled the beef between Mo3 and Yella Beezy began years earlier in 2018. That's when Mo3's close friend Roy Lee was shot and killed in North Dallas in 2018. He's pretty important to this story. Why? Because he allegedly questioned Yella's claim on the neighborhood Oak Cliff up in Dallas, which to some is a sign of disrespect. Now, Roy Lee was later gunned down at a shopping center and died from complications from the shooting. After Roy died, Yella Beezy was shot multiple times during a drive-by. Then you have the back and forth and diss tracks between Yella and Mo3. Then Mo3's manager alleged Yella and his group attacked him while he was leaving a club. Then months after that, Mo3 was shot and killed on I-35. Even after Yella Beezy's arrest, Mo3's mom took to social media writing, "Justice for my baby." Again, now it's just a wait and see. So it's a toss-up on who will be tried first, Yella Beezy, Kiwan White, or Devin Brown. So no trial date yet, no football games, and Yella Beezy.
He's still out, though. Still out. Still free. Wow, it's a
remains in
tough
home
one right
confinement.
there.
Let's bring on criminal defense attorney Safa Robinson-Ferrer to get her take on this case. Safa, thank you so much for joining me.
Let's hit some takes on it. I want to hear what somebody got to say.
What's your take, or what do you make of the defense's motion for bond modification so Yella Beezy could attend his son's football games? Now, we know the judge denied it, but given the charge that he's facing, murder for hire, are you surprised the defense even requested that?
It's not a surprise. We actually make these requests quite often, especially when we have a scenario or a situation where, you know, the defendant is a parent and wants to be involved in their children's matters, or, you know, maybe there's a wedding coming up or something of that sort. So it's not uncommon at all for the defense to make requests like this. I think considering the charges, and obviously it's a murder charge in this case, the judge declined not to. And one of the things I always say,
my board don't light up no more,
is it's inconvenient to be a defendant, and this is an example of how inconvenient it can be when you are accused of a crime and ultimately want to continue to move about freely, maybe go to your child's football game, considering the charges that you're facing and the risk of flight or the threat that you could possibly be to the community. Judges often will decide not to allow that.
And let's kind of talk about his bond. Now, initially it was $2 million. Then a judge dropped it to $750,000. Is that pretty typical for a murder for hire charge? Normally we see a lot of cases where defendants face this exact same charge, but yet sometimes they're remanded until trial. But in this case, Yella Beezy was issued a $750,000 bond, and he put the money up too.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for us to...
Who wouldn't? What the fuck? Who wouldn't? Bro. I got the bread, I'm putting it up. 750. Come on, and he put the money up. What you think he went for the bond reduction for? Genius? this?
See this, and it really depends on the judge that the case is in front of, how conservative the judge may be or how liberal the judge may be. That's one thing to consider. Not only that, but when it comes to bail, and specifically with murder charges, oftentimes judges will opt to hold the individual no bail, no release, which means that the person is going to be detained until they have their trial date. The other option that judges often take in murder cases is they set a significantly high bail. Bail is supposed to be there to ensure the defendant's return to court, but in my opinion and in my experience, we see judges setting this high bail because the likelihood of somebody being able to post that amount is very unlikely. And so that will ultimately keep them in custody until their trial date as well. But Mr. Beasy has the means to do it and ultimately did not.
Why?
In your opinion, do you think prosecutors have enough to convict Yella Beasy for allegedly hiring Keywan White to kill Mo 3 back in 2020?
Oh my God.
It's going to depend on how the evidence unfolds at trial. You know, there are certainly key pieces of evidence that the prosecution is in possession of, including video footage, and I would assume possibly some communication or correspondence between the two. And so it's going to depend on if the prosecution can get those in and if they can meet their high burden of proof, which is guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Also, what could possibly come into question is if Mr. White ultimately were to cooperate and testify against Mr. Beasy. That will be one question that we will wait to find out and see as trial begins to loom in this case. So that's going to depend. They have a significantly high burden of proof in this case. I don't know how clear-cut the evidence is. I know there's video footage that shows what appears to be Mr. White or could possibly be Mr. White murdering this individual on the highway in Texas. That will certainly be a key piece of evidence at trial. And whatever causal link the prosecution.
That's brazen. Very brazen on the highway in Texas.
To be Mr. White or could possibly be Mr. White murdering this individual on the highway in Texas. That will certainly be a key piece of evidence at trial. And whatever causal link the prosecution will be able to show connecting Mr. Beasy to Mr. White will certainly come into evidence if they can lay the proper foundation to do that. So say, for example, if it were to be text correspondence or something of that sort, having the appropriate persons testify so that that information can come in. Say, for example, if it were to be
no, once they said they got the car somewhere else, like turning at the light, going past that gas station, right? None of that.
Text correspondence or something of that sort, having the appropriate persons testify so that that information can come in. If the prosecution can get it in, I think there's a possibility that we'll see a conviction in this case. And if not, then there's definitely going to be a not guilty verdict that comes back.
And Mo 3 was murdered nearly 5 years ago now, but Yella Beasy wasn't arrested until last month. Why do you think his arrest came so late when the alleged shooter and his accomplice were arrested weeks after the shooting? So again, this was back in 2020, yet Yella Beasy wasn't arrested or even indicted until just last month.
Yeah, I've noticed over time with cases like this, especially murder for hire cases, over time people talk. So while this case at its inception 5 years ago resulted in the arrest of Mr. White.
Indicating that somebody talking. She said people talk.
And another individual, that Mr. White, I believe, has already been sentenced, federally speaking, in connection with this case or possibly another case. But there is another co-defendant to Mr. White who is still awaiting sentence. That could be the possible reason. Maybe he had shared some information that implicated Mr. Beasy. That could be a possibility, not to say that it did happen. Or other information, just people corresponding throughout the years, maybe an admission. I don't know if Mr. Beasy, maybe said in a song, implicated his own self in a song and
said some indication, whether it's a witness, him in a song.
Prosecutors got a hold of that and maybe are trying to use that in his case. So it could be a number of reasons, but I always say over time with homicide cases like this, people talk, and as a result of that, it amps up investigators and they continue forward with these investigations.
Yeah, and I think what's always sad when we're dealing with these cases, especially involving rappers, especially involving people who came up, they were almost to the top of what could have been like a long-lasting career, then something like this happens. And I think it's always so sad because in this particular case, from the reports I've been reading, from some of the research I've been doing, it seems like beforehand, Yella Beezy and the victim, Mo3, were friends. They were cool. Then something happened. One of Mo3's friends was shot. They blamed Yella.
That's crazy, man. Look at Mo3. I remember he had a... Man, I remember his chains was... That's ridiculous, boy. Came all the way up. BG4L. Osama chain, the Mo3 chain. That's the one with the K's on the side of it. That one dope. His chains was dope. Mo3's dope motherfucker, man. He was dope.
Which I've been doing, it seems
cold.
like beforehand, Yella Beezy and the victim, Mo3, were friends. They were cool. Then something happened. One of Mo3's friends was shot. They blamed Yella Beezy. Then Yella Beezy was shot at. They blamed Mo3. And it just seems like this back and forth until it all culminated.
They had debate. They was saying, is he the best out of Texas or Zero? Him a Zero.
Into Mo3's murder on an interstate on I-35 in Dallas, Texas, back in 2020. But in terms of just the escalation and also just the nature of the offense at hand here, what are your thoughts overall, especially on the brutality level when, obviously, when people deal with conflict, the first thing sometimes in other people's minds is not to grab a gun, not to kill somebody, but obviously that's not necessarily street code. But in terms of just this escalation from two rappers who started off cool, what are your thoughts overall of how we're even here in the first place?
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house no matter what condition it's in. If you need to sell your house for any reason, click the button under this video to see if my offer is right.
We see this happen time and time again, and I don't know why it happens. I think ego, finances, money and power and respect, those all factor into how these things ultimately can happen, is where you have two people who are friends, somebody's offended, shots are fired, and somebody's dead, and there's been back and forth with that. We've heard it before. For example, in the Little Dirk case, there's an allegation of something similar in nature, where there's an allegation that somebody was ultimately disrespected, there was a death, and now there's this back and forth between two groups of people, which is really unfortunate because nobody ever wins in those cases. One life is lost, to death, and the other life is lost to the criminal justice system. And these individuals, these artists, they go on to have great families, great success, and they're cut short because of prior decisions or alleged prior decisions. So it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's truly just like a Shakespearean tragedy, it kind of feels like. And the alleged shooter, Keywan White, he's already serving time in federal prison, like we had mentioned, for the gun charges. But then he got on live and he said that he's coming home soon. Do you think that he's embellishing for those who were just viewing that live that day? Or do you think it's possible that the case might be falling apart?
With respect to Mr. White, he certainly could be embellishing. He's already serving a federal sentence at this point in time. He's got a date for release. I don't know what that is as of right now. Could it be soon? Sure. But oftentimes what happens is, people are sentenced and then, they want to exercise within right their appellate challenges. And so maybe if he's challenged his case at the appellate level and there may be some issue with how the case proceeded before his plea or sentence, he could be challenging that, which could result in him coming home early. A lot of times I've seen people just simply, in good faith or in good hope, I should say to people, I'm coming home soon, I'll be home soon, just to kind of keep that manifestation in mind that they may actually be home soon when they really may not. So it's going to depend.
Yeah, because even 9 years from 2022, that means he still has 6 years to serve, technically. Doing quick math, that's what, 2031, if I'm correct, when his earliest release date could actually be. And again, these are federal charges, and the feds make you stay until your time is done. But in terms of Yella Beezy himself, you are obviously a criminal defense attorney. That's why I love having you on. But if you were Yella Beezy's defense attorney, how are you defending your client? It seems like time kind of is on the defensive side, but not knowing, what the prosecution may have in their pocket.
Absolutely. Time is most definitely on the defensive side. Every time and any time a case is held out this far, it's usually better for the defense. There's a number of reasons. People are more likely to forget things as cases progress throughout the years. I hate to say it this way, but witnesses die or become incapacitated, maybe even police witnesses or other witnesses that would be necessary for the prosecution to use to prosecute the case. Also, again, and this is going to be the crux of the importance of this case, is how is the prosecution going to make that causal connection between Mr. Beasy and Mr. White? How can they do it? Is it through text messages? Who are they going to move these text messages in, through what witness, if they exist? Or is there some sort of jailhouse snitch that is going to be cooperating and had more information to provide law enforcement? And so, that's going to factor into it. Say, for example, if we do have some sort of... So there's a lot of things that are going to factor.
That was good. What if it is a jailhouse snitch? The guy, but they got both of them. But you can have one right now, as we're speaking. This been going on, what, 3-4 years? Dudes in jail. Not Keywan White, but the other guy. They gave Keywan White 3 years, saying his fair sentence, he got 6 years still. I think he got 4 of it. They say they make you do the whole thing. I thought you. This thing, whew. Damn. Bro. My buddy killing it. Killing it. Ain't put no cologne on today. I still miss my neck.
People in his entourage. He doesn't direct anybody. He's just responsible for his own self and his own music. Whatever somebody else may have done was on them. And if they can't make that link, then the jury's got to come back not guilty on this.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how this all kind of plays out in court once we do get a trial date, whenever that may be. But again, for now, Yella Beezy remains at home on home confinement, and unfortunately for him, can't go to his son's football games either. Safa, thank you so much for your time and your insight into this case. Before we sign you off, though, do you think that we could see a Yella Beezy murder for hire trial this year, or do you think possibly we won't even see it until maybe next year or the year after that?
Mr. Beasy has a right to a speedy trial, so in theory, we should see that case proceed to trial this year. Whether or not the court is backed up, dockets are, delayed, or trials are delayed for other calendar reasons, will be a question, but I think there's a very good possibility that we will see this case to trial this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Yella Beezy goes on trial first, Lil Durk goes on trial first. Who knows if Diddy gets a verdict? Not that all of these cases are connected by any means, but we have a lot of big trials that we are keeping our eyes out for. Again, Safa Robinson Ferrer, thank you so much for your time and your insight into this. I really appreciate it.
That was interesting. She said Diddy. God damn, my boy gotta take him outside. Killing it. I thought it was that one. Oh, man.
Here's a list of stuff your car insurance company does, but is actually illegal. 1. They are not allowed to ask you for your race, age, gender.
I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
You know what Sean Diddy Combs is doing right now? He's fighting to make sure a jury doesn't see the infamous tape of him purportedly beating up Cassandra Ventura in a hotel hallway from years ago. The defense has raised a number of arguments about why that key piece of evidence, maybe one of the most important pieces of evidence at his upcoming criminal trial, should not make its way in. And we're going to break it down for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Sean Diddy
Bad. This is bad.
Combs wants a key piece of evidence, potentially one of the most important pieces of evidence at his upcoming criminal trial, to be excluded from ever making its way there. He does not want the jury to see it, to evaluate it, to consider it. Unless, of course, they've already seen it in the media. That becomes a question for jury selection, what they saw or heard leading up to this trial, but that's a separate question. But I am talking about the infamous videotape. The videotape of Combs apparently kicking, striking, dragging Cassandra Cassie Ventura in the hallway of the Intercontinental Hotel out in LA back in 2016 that was published by CNN last year, May 17th, 2024. This was months before Combs' arrest and indictment in September on federal sex crimes charges. And let's not forget, 2 days after CNN published this tape, and it is graphic, it is disturbing. We are not going to show it here for you. It is just so difficult to watch. 2 days after it was published, Combs apologized on Instagram in a now deleted video.
I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I'm so sorry.
And we believe that prosecutors wish to introduce this surveillance tape to establish this as evidence of Combs' sex trafficking charge, namely of victim 1, who we believe to be Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura. That she was not only running away from Combs, who was apparently seen on that tape just wearing a towel, but that she was running away from a sexual episode involving Combs and a sex worker who was allegedly in that hotel room. And remember the allegation here, right? That he would force and coerce women into these sex acts with commercial sex workers, freak-offs, all these different kinds of things. And we believe, based on prior arguments from Combs' counsel, the defense Combs, quote, having more than one girlfriend, and this was commercial sex workers, freak-offs, all these different kinds of things. And we believe, based on prior arguments from Combs' counsel, the defense will be that they may plan to argue this was merely an unfortunate
crazy
domestic spat between Combs and Ventura. That, as his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, once put it, evidence of Combs, quote, having more than one girlfriend and getting caught, but not evidence of sex trafficking. Also, by the way, Combs can't be charged at the state level for allegedly beating up Cassandra Ventura because it's past the applicable statute of limitations, but you can see why it would play a key role in a sex trafficking and racketeering case, transportation to engage in prostitution too. Now, Combs may not want to even test his defense at trial. No, it seems what he wants to do would be to make sure that this video doesn't see the light of day in a courtroom, because in recent filings, Combs wants that video or videos excluded from trial. And for that, we turn to his motion in limine to exclude video footage of that March 5th, 2016 incident. Motion in limine is a pretrial motion that aims at preventing evidence from coming into trial or limiting it in some way. And it starts by saying, quote, "There is no longer any dispute that the CNN footage from March 5th, 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel offered by the government at 3 separate bail hearings is wholly inaccurate, having been altered, manipulated, sped up, and edited to be out of sequence. As indicated below, CNN paid Redacted, don't know who this person is, Redacted, for footage, copied that footage in unknown ways, presented that footage out of order, and destroyed the original. Accordingly, all the footage from CNN is inaccurate and inadmissible. As for the 2 items of footage filmed by an iPhone 6, those pieces of footage are inaccurate and inadmissible as well for the reasons set out below." Now that's interesting, that there's apparently iPhone footage of this incident as well. So let me get into Combs' argument that all the team wants to call
get into his argument.
And admissible as well for the reasons set out below. Now that's interesting, that there's apparently iPhone footage of this incident as well. So let me get into Combs' argument that all of this video evidence of this incident should be excluded, shouldn't make its way into trial. So the first thing Combs requests from the court is to hold a hearing. And at this hearing, Combs explains that his team wants to call a forensic video analysis named Connor McCord to show that this video evidence is inaccurate. Sean Combs' defense team argues the videos are unreliable, that they would unfairly confuse and mislead the jury, that they would be more prejudicial to Combs than it would provide any kind of relevant or probative value for the prosecution's case. They write, quote, "If a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth a number well over the court's word limit." Again, the basic argument of order clip that is that CNN heavily and deceptively edited the video and turned about 10.5 minutes of footage into a 48-second, quote, out-of-order clip that ended with Combs appearing to drag Redacted, again, we believe that to be Cassandra Ventura, to a hotel room. And they argue that this painted the rapper and the music mogul
So this painted the rapper. Him dragging her down the hallway. Let's see.
in the worst possible light for the world to see. And as they previously and correctly mentioned, prosecutors relied on this tape in prior bail hearings to support their argument that Combs shouldn't be released pre-trial. By the way, talking digital evidence, talking alleged crimes, did you know that cybercrime is growing more dangerous and widespread? It's threatening businesses like never before. I mean, did you know that in 2024, 1 in 5 businesses fell victim to ransomware and half of those were small businesses? Yeah. Now here's the good news. We have a sponsor, Apollo Networks. They're here to protect your business and help you fight against these business-ending threats. They use the latest cybersecurity technologies to monitor your systems 24/7. They stop threats before you even know they're there. They prevent downtime. They safeguard your data. So beyond just protection, they optimize your daily operations by managing your backups, providing 24/7 tech support, and being your trusted partner for all your IT needs. Their mission is so simple: deliver elite-level security while helping your business run faster, more efficiently, and with peace of mind. No business is too big or too small to be protected. From one computer to thousands, they have custom solutions to fit every industry. So right now, you can go to apollonetworks.com/sidebar or scan the QR code on screen to get a free network health assessment and 50% off of your first month. But this is where things get interesting, because Combs claims that on November 13th, 2024, the government handed over to them 2 iPhone videos that were in the possession of Redacted. So maybe Ventura, not sure, but they were in the possession of Redacted. And Combs claims these videos are recordings of surveillance footage of the hotel incident, but they are very different, Combs claims, from the CNN video that was published. And it includes things that weren't in the CNN video. And that's when Combs says that they retained Mr. McCord, who apparently is a, quote, career law enforcement officer, that the CNN video is in forensic analysis of videos, and Combs claims that McCourt concluded that the government's videos don't represent the original, the raw surveillance footage, that the CNN video was manipulated, and that there's a lack of metadata to know how exactly it was manipulated. Now, Combs' counsel claims that they were able to get their hands on 4 videos here. So CNN's published video and 3 videos with footage obtained by CNN from 3 single cameras at the hotel. And Combs argues that these videos were not the ones that CNN got from its redacted source, but that CNN paid their source for the videos, copied those files, and then destroyed the original video files they received. Quote, to defense counsel's knowledge, the government has not investigated CNN nor redacted for destroying evidence related to this case during the pendency of the investigation. And actually, there's an accompanying declaration from one of the attorneys from a firm that's representing Combs. Her name is Ana Estevao, and she provides a bit more context on what these videos are. Quote, after multiple phone, Zoom, and email conferrals with DWT, that's the firm that was representing CNN, over the course of several days, DWT eventually admitted that CNN received a video file from a source, the original video file. And again, we don't know who this source is, but it continues that CNN, quote, made...
Did you know you could be owed a major cash payout if you were in a car accident in the last year, even if you were just a passenger or it seemed minor? It's true. And the best part, it only takes 30 seconds to find out exactly how much you could receive. Not many people know this, but insurance isn't the only way to get
made a complete copy of that video file, and then the original video file, CNN complied with the subpoena and produced 4 video files. So aside from the video that was published by CNN for the whole world to see and that we all saw, there was also apparently, quote, Exhibit I-2, which is a 6-minute and 13-second clip from the hallway of the Intercontinental. Exhibit I-3, a 2-minute and 15-second clip from the elevator bank at the Intercontinental. Exhibit I-4, a 1-minute and 59-second video of another view of the hallway at the Intercontinental. We don't know ourselves what these videos do or do not show exactly, but it's interesting that there's more footage here, or apparently. And by the way, this lawyer who's making this statement is doing so under penalty of perjury. And she declared, quote, despite knowing of the federal investigation, CNN counsel has represented to myself and Tenny Garagos, that's another one of Combs' lawyers, that they destroyed the original footage they received. We have not received any information in discovery reflecting that the government has investigated CNN's destruction of evidence related to an ongoing federal investigation. Those are big allegations. And in fact, in another filing, another exhibit to be more exact, we have this email from Ana Estevao to Kate Bolger, who represents CNN, an attorney for CNN. And it reads in part, quote, Kate, thank you for the call earlier. Based on our discussion, we now understand that CNN received a video file from a source, the original video file, made a complete copy of that video file, the copy, and as you mentioned for the first time today, deleted. Still trying to figure out what's what right now, and even what that apparent conversation between these audio file, the copy, and as you mentioned for the first time today, deleted the original video file. Now, to be clear, CNN has denied these allegations. They have denied that it altered the video or destroyed the original copy. So we're still trying to figure out what's what right now, and
that don't make sense.
Even what that apparent conversation between Estevao and Bolger even was. But I want to get back to Combs' motion again, this motion in limine, arguing again that all this video evidence should be excluded.
Let's say about the video file.
So at one point, as laid out by the defense, apparently the court, meaning the judge overseeing this case, Judge Arun Subramanian, he had advised at a prior hearing about what should be done regarding this video. And apparently he said, quote, slow it down, put it in the right sequence, or provide any other context based on the materials. However, according to the defense, quote, after extensive discussions with Mr. McCourt, however, there are several reasons why all available video files are inaccurate and unreliable and cannot be modified to be accurate. What are those reasons? Well, first, Combs claims that McCourt believes the CNN video is significantly sped up, that it doesn't accurately represent human movement, that it inaccurately displays timestamp seconds, including jumping back in time, so it misleads the viewer as to the proper sequence of events. And there is also allegedly missing a considerable amount of footage. And when it comes to the iPhone videos that I mentioned before, Mr. McCourt apparently believes they too distort the events. Quote, the aspect ratio in the iPhone videos differs from the CNN video such that Mr. Combs appears to be stockier and shorter than he appears in the CNN video, causing Mr. Combs to appear more domineering. 2, they inaccurately display timestamp seconds, misleading the viewer about the timing of the events. 3, they do not show the timestamps in the majority of the videos. And 4, they do not depict the entire incident. In other words, the iPhone videos reflect what the person holding the cell phone camera focused on when watching the footage. At times, the iPhone videos zoom in on details like a particular person's shoes, cutting out portions of the events depicted in the CNN videos. Further, because the iPhone videos were created by using a handheld camera to film a static image, the iPhone videos contain doubled images and blurred images, distortive artifacts that are the result of amateur re-recording. So in other words, neither the CNN video nor the iPhone videos accurately depict what allegedly happened in that hotel. That's according to Combs. And first, Combs' defense argues that the CNN video and the iPhone videos, they have to be excluded because the government cannot provide sufficient evidence of their authenticity, which is required by the Federal Rules of Evidence, more specifically, Federal Rule of Evidence 901, which requires a party to submit proof that that specific piece of evidence is what it claims to be. You can't just take the prosecution or defense's wordings. There is...
Starting to hear something that sound a little familiar.
Video recordings, unlike other pieces of evidence, their argument is, and I think there's a fair point to this, they can have quite an impact on a jury, a very different impact on a jury. They are very, very important and persuasive. Quote, the government has not proffered any competent evidence through which it could authenticate these videos. In the normal course, evidence may be authenticated through such means as testimony of a witness with personal knowledge, evidence that the proffered exhibit has distinctive characteristics demonstrating genuineness, and evidence that the proffered exhibit is the result of a process or system that produces accurate results and showing that it produces an accurate result. But this is not the normal course, and these methods do not apply here. Rather, in the absence of testimony by the editor or someone else with personal knowledge to determine how the videos were edited, admitting the videos would...
It's like there's some, I don't know, some weird stuff going on here. Showing a video. Saying they got video proof, video knowledge.
would be grossly unfair and potentially highly misleading. And here there are several problems. Like, according to the defense, we don't have any information about the device that was used to generate the CNN videos. And when it comes to the iPhone videos, the defense makes the argument they haven't even had the opportunity to examine that particular iPhone. And you couple that with the allegations that the videos were distorted and altered and changed in terms of speed and frames and depictions of subjects, and that the original files were destroyed. Again, the argument is there's no way to properly authenticate these videos as being true and accurate copies.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20 handpicked products that are trending all over the world, basically validated by AI from a trending product database from one of the top vendors on the planet. And the reason that we can do this completely free for you is because, well, Shopify is paying.
Next, the defense goes back to the claim that none of the files at issue are the actual originals, even though the defense argues they made a good faith effort to find them. And they also argue that the government's failure to investigate CNN and to not find reliable video and just to rely on what they claim are inaccurate, unreliable duplicates actually calls into question the government's motives here. And moreover, the defense claims the government failed the, quote, best evidence rule. What's that? Well, as Combs lawyers explain, and we learned this very early on in our law school evidence class, you always want to introduce the original evidence for purposes of authentication. But we live in a real world, and we all know that sometimes that is not possible. So a duplicate can be allowed unless there is a genuine question about authenticity. And here, Combs argues, there is certainly such a question. But also they say this: the government's only means of admitting the evidence is Federal Rule of Evidence 1004, which permits the use of a duplicate if all the originals are lost or destroyed, and not by the proponent acting in bad faith, or the original cannot be obtained by any available judicial process. The government's conduct negates admissibility under either prong. It has repeatedly refused to investigate, has not questioned key witnesses regarding the original recordings, and refuses to use available judicial process even to confirm whether the originals still exist. Rather, it has turned a blind eye, hoping that the court will permit it to use far more inflammatory evidence that will unfairly